we're going to spend a considerable little bit of time on this, and it's specifically called thinking patterns. There is a workshop that we run on thinking patterns, and it goes for about an hour and a half in our office. But essentially it is about giving you an opportunity to learn the tools, to learn the strategies, to make any goal that you have for yourself a success. How would you like to have a strategy or procedure or thinking pattern in place that anytime you thought of a goal, you could lay the groundwork and make it succeed? You would never ever have to fail at your goals again. I know this works wonderful for me. I'm going to teach you very briefly the steps that it is, just essentially to entice you to attend this other workshop. The first thing we want to talk about is habits. Everyone here has a habit. Everyone in the world's got their habit. Some habits we like, some habits we don't like. Some habits are good for us, some habits are bad for us. What I want you to know is your habits come from three main entities, and this comes from Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey said that knowledge of your habits is very important, because if you don't know why you're doing something or what to do about something, well, then it can't translate into a habit, or nor can you build the groundwork to create habits. The second thing is desire. You need to have desire to either maintain a habit or remove a habit. Sometimes it is simple as pain or pleasure based, which is really dealt in depth into this seminar. But essentially, to put it simply, some people move towards pleasure or away from pain. It achieves the same result, but there's a different mindset. So if I said to someone, look, we're going to adjust you and you're going to keep feeling great and wonderful, would be an example of someone trying to stay away from pain. Or if I said the other one, look, if we keep adjusting you, then remember where you were and how you're improving. Again, that's staying away from pain. Overall, it's about people don't like pain responses, and the brain will always do what's more pleasurable. And so our habits are often in place to achieve that. And the desire then, the reason want to, is to work out whether or not you are a pain or pleasure based person, and how to put the groundwork in place to give you the desire and motivation to make these habits a success. The other thing is then to spend some time giving the skill sets in making this happen, because if you don't have the skills to break down individual goals and to break down the skills that are required to maintain or create a habit, then you aren't able to work backwards to actually see where do we need to start. Also in this process, we really need to start thinking about the relationships we form with people. Are you a very independent person? Are you a very dependent person? Means do you always want someone else to provide everything for you, or are you able to do it on your own? But we really want to get to a point where people over everywhere can work together to achieve a common goal. Because I tell you, it is always more successful when people put their heads together. The other thing is, this comes from a guy called Les Parrott. He talked about the first impulse versus second impulse, or the 3-second rule. The 3-second rule is really about not always giving in to your first instinct. Yes, your first instinct will serve you well a lot of the time, but in a few specific cases, and there's 6 in total, we won't cover them tonight, there's 6 in total, that when you fall into these instincts, you are actually compromising your ability for future success. And the last thing that I want to talk to you about in this segment is called the 4-quadrant exercise. The 4-quadrant exercise is something I learned from a guy called Dr. James Chestnut, and it's something that is so outrageously fantastic that every time I apply it, it allows me to see black and white about any goal and really work towards setting this goal in stone. And the first thing that we need to do with any habit is think about, well, what are our natural thinking processes about this habit? Why do I maintain this habit? Why is this habit a regular occurrence in my life? What am I doing at the moment to try and stop this habit? What are your just simple thought process about whatever the habit is? And then we've got to look at, well, what are the benefits from changing this habit? If it's something you want to move away, you would be looking at, well, what's the benefit of no longer doing this habit? And it needs to be so black and white that if I looked at it, or the neighbour, or the mayor, or the premier, it doesn't matter who important came along and had a look at that, they would say, yes, I agree. Because there's black and white. And once you can figure that out, well, then you can actually go to the opposite and do a pro and con analysis, essentially, and look at, well, what is the cost of not doing this new habit, or what's it costing me by having it in my life still? And when you can weigh these three things up, you can start to break down your emotional connection to these habits. Like if you want to do more exercise and your biggest thing is, well, I don't have time for exercise, that would be an emotional connection. But if we can then break that connection down, you can build that groundwork of all the emotional connection. And then you can weigh it up against the pro and con of it all, and then you can really look at, well, are my emotions being really adequate in terms of why I maintain this habit, or why I want to correct this habit? Or is the cost really so dramatic that you go, wow, I'm an idiot. I look at my emotions and just the cost is just ridiculous. And the benefit I'm going to get, it allows you to be more constructive about each one and really diminish the emotional attachment to why or why not to make a new habit. And in the end, we come to something called a habit statement. Once you create this new habit that you want to do, and you've got the excitement because you know what the benefit is, you know what the cost is, and so forth, we always make the habit statement a positive statement. Like, I am wonderfully enjoying my gym program on a daily basis, it's even enjoying my healthy weight of 88 kilos, maintaining a vibrant, energetic, well-being outlook on life. These statements then get written down and repeated over and over on a daily basis for 30 days, as the research tells us. And what we find is they actually ingrain into your subconscious and become that habit. And then on top of that, because a lot of people are still afraid of failing, even though they've got this habit statement, we learn something from Anthony Robbins, and that is that pain-pleasure thing, and go, look, you can set a reward for achieving your goal, but who's ever actually set a reward for not achieving a goal? And that is the anti-reward, as I call it. And that is, I set a goal that I'll come to 88 kilos and I will get myself a new watch. If I don't reach that goal by a certain date, I will give that watch to my brother. That's what an anti-reward is. It's to actually set almost a punishment, but in such a way that that punishment emotionally and just hurts you, because that's what your brain doesn't like, and it will do everything within its power to stay away from that. And it also can provide you an underlying motivator to actually maintain your consistency towards that goal. And I guarantee you, with the couple of seconds I know we've only spent on this, you could already make little headways into increasing your success with any goal that you set from this point on.